So, Tewksbury, Molly Gebler,
Yes.
Alex Gertzberg.
Yes, we're here.
Why are we here?
We're here for the best podcast ever.
The best podcast ever.
That's what I've heard. The rumors out there.
Yes.
Oh, the rumors are pale in comparison to the truth.
Yes. Got a Facebook page now. I mean, we're legit. 100
You've done a great
people
job.
In 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, people like us.
People like us.
How could they not like us, though?
True.
Right?
True that. When they don't have to see us, though, that's the
Right.
best
Indeed.
part. They
As
only
soon-
listen,
Right. As soon as they see us, they're going to start hating us. Mostly me.
probably.
Molly Gebler, before we start talking about our awesome guest, I have to say you killed it in Peter Pan
Thank
last
you.
weekend. Holy crap. Drew, did you see it?
I did not. So
Oh
tell
my
me.
goodness. It was Oscar worthy.
Yes.
It
They're
was
calling.
Tony Award
Tony,
worthy.
yeah. It was on my bucket list. I've never done it before.
Yes.
And I did it, and I was a no-name pirate, and I made it my own.
You killed it.
How were your nerves?
You know, and Rob Sapp might be listening to this, so he's the director, and I love him to death, and he's the reason I did it. He's a Broadway actor and a friend, and I figure if I'm going to do it, it's going to be by a Broadway actor directing it. So it was a great time, but everyone kept saying, oh my gosh, once you get out there, the adrenaline's going to be flowing, and I just felt like it was my everyday day.
Yeah.
I didn't get nervous. I didn't. There was no adrenaline.
You did
I
a
think I'm
great job.
broken.
There was like
Thank
100
you.
people on stage. It seemed like
It was a big
huge
cast, lots
yeah.
of
Lots
Is
kids.
this CVLT stuff?
This was Rob and Pat Hanisch, who's a retired music teacher from Chagrin, did a show through Community Ed, so anybody could have done it. We had some Kenston kids, we had some Chagrin kids, we had, it was a great time. I mean, it was a great time.
You did good.
And you come from that environment, the theater.
The theater.
Mm-hmm.
I was Hugo Peabody in Bye Bye Birdie.
Nice.
And also Kinnicky in Greece.
Yes. The
Where
days
my-
of the show, isn't that what you call it?
Yeah,
The show
my
days.
big line in Greece was a hickey from Kinnicky's like a Hallmark card. When you care enough to give the very
Yes,
best.
that is.
Dandy.
And you will be happy to know that there was no flop sweat.
No flop sweat
Good.
this
No
time.
flop sweat, yes. I made it without
That's
flop
good.
sweat. Yeah. Well, there was an incident on Thursday night during dress rehearsal that we actually flew. And my son-in-law was one of the ones that,
Mhm.
did the ropes and stuff. And he got the signal from someone else and did it. And it wasn't supposed to be Peter Pan. It was supposed to be Wendy. And he pulled it. And Peter Pan knocked her head into the window and
Ooh.
pretty good gash. And
But the show went on. The show must go
little
on.
wig, and it was all good. It was great. Thank you for coming and supporting Alex Gertzberg. Your whole family was there. Your daughter was terrified.
She was. Molly
I know.
came out at the end. I was like, Ma, you want to go meet one of the pirates? She was all excited. And we went out, and Molly's makeup was like straight out of Night of the Living Dead.
Was
They
it
gave her
really?
this giant
Try to
gash.
show a picture.
It was like, it looked like half her face was ripped off, and poor little Maya
A
is
ninth
never going to go
grader
see
did that,
Peter
though.
Pan
She's going to
again.
be terrified
Yes.
of pirates, too. from
Yeah.
now on.
Yes, forever.
Yeah.
And for all those listening, I will post a picture up on our the Best Podcast Ever
Good.
Facebook page so that people know what we're talking about. But it was a great time.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
I love that you did that because it was on your bucket list.
You know what? I love that I did that because it's on my bucket list as well.
Yeah.
Makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Wow, it does make you look scared. Holy crud.
Yeah, big gouge. Hook got me. The hook got me.
Yeah.
Man. What's
Yeah.
weird too is this will be a good segue, right? You know how like when you see something and it's interesting to you and you're sort of engaged and enraptured by it, and then all of a sudden it's like everywhere around you, right? So Peter Pan, right? I saw that. A few days later I went to see Finding Neverland.
Which was amazing.
It was unbelievable, right?
Unbelievable.
And then not 2 days later, I'm sitting there on the couch with my kids, and Pan is on, right? And it's like all of a sudden, Peter Pan is everywhere.
Look at the Halloween costumes. Peter Pan and
Yeah.
Tinkerbell were
I don't
back.
understand. What happened?
I don't know.
Why is Peter
We
Pan so
watched-
popular all of a sudden?
Something drives those
Google.
we Google, but there becomes this cyclicality of stuff like that,
Yeah.
where what once was old is now new again,
Yeah.
type of a thing, and so it just takes whatever that little push is, and something will come out, and people with those classics like Peter Pan, or whether it's Peter Pan, I think we went through it 5-8 years ago with Alice in Wonderland. There was a whole resurgence of Alice in Wonderland stuff, and so it kind of brought, as we get older through our generation, as we're aging and we're collectively in that
Yeah.
we're starting to age, we look back and we're finding those things that we fondly reminisce upon.
Yeah.
And wisely, I think the folks that are out there that are marketing and are
Putting them in the vault and bringing them back.
and they're bringing them back because they know that they're going to pull on those strings. So
Yeah.
and they see that group that's in that mid-40s that harkens back to that day.
Yeah.
Let's start pulling that stuff out.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast coming
know.
out.
Indeed.
Yeah,
What, as
next
a what?
year.
A movie?
Oh, as a movie,
Ooh.
but it's scene by scene going to be identical to the cartoon.
Interesting.
Yeah. So who are we talking to today? I know I
Well-
hear this extra voice, and it's not mine. It's not yours.
Molly, I'm so glad you asked.
Thank you.
Our friend, and I do mean our friend, Drew Tewksbury, right? Because you guys knew each other before today,
Like,
A
yeah,
little bit.
yeah, through the
Casual.
JCs, and yeah,
okay.
their
Well,
amazing work.
so just like Peter Pan, in the last 2 weeks, Drew has come into and out of my life at various times through totally disparate sources, right? Fish, the greatest
I
band
did note that.
yeah,
I
the
did.
single greatest rock and roll group of all time.
All time.
And I will fight anybody that disputes me on that. And insurance, and then friendship, friends, common friends, right? Living in the same general vicinity, right? So I was general counsel at Broadvox. I think this is the first time we knew each other, right? Drew.
Yeah, and
Right.
we had cocktails at
Oh, my
Hyde
gosh,
Park.
Say it isn't so.
Great.
That's right. We drank a lot. Alcohol is involved in every one of these stories for some reason.
It has to. I don't know where you're going with this, but for those who want to know how important it is to network and to talk and to think about all the things you do, the first time we met, Alex was leaning over because he couldn't hear me from talking, and he said, "I'm like, well, why can't you hear me?"
Old
He
age.
said, because my ears are kind of shot. He said, to tell the truth, he kind of sheepishly said, I go to see a lot of live music. And as he's saying that, the dinger is starting to go off in my head. And I said, oh, tell me more. And he said, yeah, he said, you probably would have no idea about this band, but I go see this band called Fish all the time. And he, at that point in time, he had no clue that I too was one of the biggest Fish fans that walks the earth, and former traveling Grateful Dead fan. And
Yeah.
it was, I think at that point in time,
Yeah.
friendship was cemented.
Yeah, you then proceeded to show me pictures of your brother next
Yes.
to like Paige McConnell and Mike
I did.
Gordon, and man, yeah, Drew, it turned out, was the insurance agent at Broadvox, for Broadvox, and had been for many years at his former company. And as their lawyer, right, I had to deal with insurance issues constantly. I will tell you, I have, I placed, before I met Drew, insurance agents on par with a lot of the professions that I don't have a lot of respect for. And I'm not going to go through them right now because
Right.
there's people who are going to be listening, they're going to get very upset when I
Yeah.
name their
I'm
profession.
starting to get upset.
Yeah.
But
He's getting
my
up and
experience with
leaving.
insurance agents before I met you was not good, right? Not good. It was all,
Some may say that about attorneys, just a few people.
Indeed.
they would be nuts. No, I didn't have good experience with insurance agents, and then Drew totally turned it around for me, and just, man, you never really saw somebody genuinely want to take care of you, regardless of how it hit his bottom line, right? That as was the case with Drew. So then started hanging out, and then it turned out, yeah,
Nice introduction.
It is.
Huh?
yeah, this dude really genuinely cares about his clients, period, right?
Hmm.
Even if he's got to shoot himself in the foot while counseling you, He will counsel you as though it is the only thing he cares about is your best interest. That's a fact. That's a fact.
talent, and that's a talent.
Yeah.
You know, that's
And yeah.
to make people feel like they're the most important person
Yeah.
is awesome.
And then it turned out that Drew lived across the street from Henry Grendel, who used to work here, good dude. And so we started hanging around together at, different
events,
Super
social.
Bowl parties and things like that. And then and then Drew started this tradition where Henry and I would go to the trout club, where Drew is an avid fisherman. And every year in December, this has been going on for like 10 years now.
Yeah, at least.
We go to the Pine Lake Trout Club and drink way too much and sit around and wax philosophic and talk about the meaning of life. It is by far my favorite holiday event in December every year. I look forward to it very much.
Well, that's what we're here for, because you're not invited this year, and that's what we
Is that
brought
right?
Drew in to tell you.
It's really only a matter of time.
Yeah,
I was going to ride
we got to
that.
talk about that now.
So that's how I know Drew.
Well, this is becoming a little bit of a bro fest.
Yeah.
Should we talk a little bit more about just Drew himself, or do you want to keep going with your love
I
for
think
him?
my introduction. Well, we do know some more things about Drew
We
in our
do.
research. The Best
crack
Podcast
research
Ever
team.
research
Here we go.
department has uncovered some things about Drew.
Yes.
Can we put a disclaimer before this?
No.
That I have not yet seen the subject of this
If
research.
it's on Facebook, it's
Right.
public.
Oh,
That's
now come
right.
on! If it's on the internet, it's true. The internet lists me at 6'2", 195. Are you kidding me? For those of you that are listening, I'm 5'6", 225. So don't believe what you see on the internet.
Maybe on a different day.
Different,
You
yeah.
know what I
Maybe
mean?
your driver's license. They took it from your driver's license.
Uh,
So you were at this insurance company. Are you still in the field, Drew?
I am still very much in the field of insurance.
Okay. An amusement group, or tell me more about, are you at McGowan? Is that where
From
you
called
are?
McGowan, correct. Because you
Her
got that
research.
one
Good
right.
job. Good research, Mark.
You are senior VP.
I am.
Okay. And where is this group?
Actually, we're
Located.
in Fairview Park.
Mm.
Fairview Park, Ohio.
Okay.
You like working there?
In Fairview Park or in McGowan?
At McGowan.
I enjoy it. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Good
I
company.
do. It's an exceptional company.
Good people.
Exceptional people.
Really? Okay. And you don't throw around words like exceptional
I don't.
easily.
I don't. It's a company that's based upon a culture of character,
Yeah. I'd buy that.
and that is, listen. At 47 years old, we've worked hard, built reputations, and done things. Integrity and character are those critical core
Yeah.
pieces of bedrock that you have to live by and you have to work by. And working at McGowan has allowed me to align myself with a entity that has a corporate culture and has had one for 80 years based upon those two principles. And when you have that, it allows you so much,
Yeah.
and to really fulfill your commitments to your peers and to your clients.
I really like that dude, Lee Stacy, a lot.
Good guy, great man.
I met with him, and he reminded me a lot of you. You guys have
Great man.
very similar senses of humor and very similar like storytelling traits. You
So
guys
we-
both tell good stories.
We have to get in, though, to what kind of insurance, because I think
Yeah,
I
yeah.
find this fascinating.
Yeah.
So, Drew, what kind of insurance is this?
Well,
Can I get my car insurance through you, Drew?
no, you cannot.
If
I will
I-
not do it. You can beg and grovel, and I will not do
If my
that.
car was a clown
If your
car?
car had clowns coming out of it, I could find a way to do it. I mean, that's a great question, and the insurance in itself is nothing crazy and different. Liability, property, auto, workers' compensation, all of those things that every business in America needs. The difference is that I've just chosen to work in serving an industry that is unique. And that industry is the amusement industry.
Which involve, so obviously carnivals, circuses,
Inflatables.
That's probably a big.
Mechanical bulls.
Ooh, is that
Right? Go-karts.
Go-karts, roller coasters.
Putt-putts.
I bet those
But-
trampoline places are clients, right?
You know what? Interestingly enough, they are not. And I had an opportunity. I bought an insurance agency back in 2012, and at that point in time, they had within their book of business that I purchased. It was a leading one of the leading insurance agencies in the country for what are called family entertainment centers, which are, what we're used to going to see, localized small amusement facilities where you have go-karts, putt-putt, arcades, climbing walls, laser tag,
Yeah.
bumper boats, yada, yada, yada. We have some great ones here in Northeast Ohio, all my clients. So I bought this business, and I bought it from a man who was one of the most rock-solid dudes I've ever known in my life. God rest his soul, a guy named Mike Beckman. Well, Mike had insured a group of those trampoline parks as they were just starting to come on board. And I was very hesitant because one of the hardest things about what I do is insuring something where you know that there's a likelihood that somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
There just is. And so I have this moral dilemma with it of going, okay, if I'm going to insure it, I got to really believe in it. And I really didn't. And so he had some trampoline parks in his book. We purchased it. We kept him on the books for a year. We lost $4 for every dollar we brought in on those.
Because
trampoline
people
parks.
kept getting hurt?
Because people kept getting hurt. Now that industry in and of itself has made great strides. It's come along. It's exploding, but it is just still one of those things. I've got a really simple rule that I speak across the country doing education on amusement ride safety and risk management for amusement parks and so forth. And you'll appreciate this, Molly, in name. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and she is the most adventurous, little precocious, little crazy female I've ever known in my life. And God blessed me with her to not only test my patience, but to open my eyes to what the world could see. And she is my measure, and I call it the Molly rule. And I look at the rides, and I look at the equipment.
Would I let Molly ride
and
this
would I
ride?
let Molly ride it?
Interesting.
And in my life, I don't believe, I just have an inherent issue with those. But a lot of places can run them. They can run them safely. It's an industry that's growing, and that's one,
Well, hold on. So if someone doesn't pass the Molly test, you're not gonna tell them I won't insure you. You'll do what?
He has character.
You would you not? Well, yeah. What's the consequence? You don't let your daughter ride the ride, obviously, right? But you would. Do you work with them then to get safe? I guess as an insurance company,
Well, that's
you
part of it.
want
I mean,
to.
I think I look at insurance and kind of back to what you said before about. I mean, you kind of put insurance agents in a certain class of character. Okay, I can't necessarily defend that to the extent that I think that it's a very broad brush stroke, Alex.
Yeah.
But I think that there are probably some folks that can do that just as there are attorneys or there's
bad
realtors or there's
experience.
whatever. All right. The secret and the sauce of what I do isn't in the insurance itself. It's more in where are you going? Where it's the consultation. So if I find a park or I find a carnival operator or something that's got a ride or an attraction that I believe is unfit.
Yeah.
For Molly, I'm going to work with them and help them go through a decision tree of, we start at the top. Is this something we can avoid doing?
Yeah.
And so help them make decisions. Company, can we avoid doing this? If we can't avoid it, then what can we do to make absolutely certain that we're doing everything we can to reduce the possibility of risk?
Which helps everybody. Right?
Absolutely
It helps everybody. Can I ask an impolitic question, a politically incorrect question?
No.
I'm going to anyway.
But no.
Yeah. No, I'm going to.
I feel the concert
No, I'm going. I'm totally
all
going to.
over again coming.
We have to tell the audience that story at some point. Do people in the carnival industry dislike hearing the word carny?
It is not
Safe.
interesting.
Is that okay? Was that an okay
Safe.
question?
No.
Safe.
It is yes and no.
It is- All right, what's
Okay,
the
I'm
answer?
gonna be politically incorrect right now.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
A term of endearment between African Americans that they can share with each other that if
Right, well,
anybody outside of that
no,
cannot
you
do
can't
that.
say it.
Yeah.
You're right.
So accordingly, when you're not with it, as they call it inside the carnival world, and you're not part of that, and you call somebody a carny, they take offense. Yet
Got it.
within their own
Yeah.
world, they can have that conversation. So you
I now
can't-
know.
Yeah.
Don't call them carnies.
No.
No, they're
Unless
showmen.
you are one. They're
Right.
showmen.
And I was a carny.
You were?
Because I worked at a funnel cake stand over
Sure.
the summers because our neighbor started the Quaker, which actually was just brought into
Yeah.
Blossom this year, and we spent all our summers, and it was quite amazing. But I'm going to have a segue into this because it seems like your background leads into working very well as a JC, considering that we have one of the finest, you guys put on one of the finest carnival festivals around town. So you are with the JCs.
That would be the Junior Chamber of Commerce.
Correct.
For the
Correct.
kids at
And-
home who don't know
And
what
just so you
JC is.
know, we work very, very well together with the JCs.
Really?
Yes.
There isn't like isn't
Oh.
like an inferiority complex among the JCs and the
Absolutely
senior
not.
Cs.
Not even a
I know, I'm just joking.
teeny
Yeah.
ounce. No, they call on us, we call on them. There's things that
Yeah.
we couldn't do without them, and we sure hope that we help them out. No, not at all.
You were like
You know,
president, weren't you?
Yes, indeed, I was president, and
Chairman of the Blossom Time Festival.
yeah, I ran that
couple
for
years.
3 or 4 years, and
Was that it seems like that'd be like herding cats, right?
well, you know what? It was It
lot-
is.
lot of
My
people.
first foray into it was, and shame on some people that did this, or shame on me for being so naive. But I was maybe 2 years into the JCs, and I'm one of the kind of person that if I commit to something and dive in, I dive in. And I had just gotten done with my first Blossom Time Festival, and for the listeners, Blossom Time Festival is effectively a 5-day event that takes place over Memorial Day weekend that encompasses everything from hot air balloon races to a 4-day carnival to a parade with an estimated 60,000 people in it to a 5.25 mile run that has 2,500 runners. It's a big deal.
It's a big
Yeah.
deal. It's a huge
And
deal.
I was
as an aside though, it is true Americana, right? Like
Yeah.
when I before I lived in Chagrin Falls, when I would think about small town like little pumpkin festivals, right? I thought, oh, how quaint, right? How cool, how nice that they're doing that. And then you come to Blossom Time, and it is that, but on steroids,
Yes.
right? It still has all that true, down home American kind of feel, but just it's so big and vast and so many moving parts.
Yeah, we
and,
got
and the JCs run the whole thing.
the whole thing, and we have close to 1,000 man hours go into that weekend,
Yeah.
and it's all volunteer time, and they're all just wonderful gentlemen throughout the Chagrin Valley that donate their time, and yeah, it's a daunting task getting them together. That was the first 2 years. That was my job. I was what was called manpower chairman, and you basically have to people will volunteer, and you got to make sure that they're there when they're there across a vast amount of things. But it was wonderful preparation for me in
Yeah.
the development to not only become chairman of Blossom Time for 3 years, but to lead the organization, because you got to meet everybody,
Yeah.
and you saw I was able to utilize much more of my leadership style than other people's. When I found that when you're dealing with anybody, I tend to motivate people, in setting a vision and applying gratitude and
Yeah.
strength when necessary, but never demands and never things like this. And what it ended up doing was it really endeared me to an awful lot of people. and we got stuff done.
So I want to talk about that leadership stuff.
Well, I do want to do a shout out to the JC wives. We are called. My husband was a JC for many years, and they're Blossom Time widows. And those thousands of hours have a wife on the end of that.
Well, they do, and
it's salt of the earth.
It's
Molly, we couldn't do it without the help of the wives, because as I was proceeding through that period of time, we were raising 2 young daughters, and my wife literally had a little teeny baby and one that was 5, 6 years old, and while my kids got to inure the benefits of that. Yes. My wife sacrificed an awful lot, because it's a huge social weekend. It's this and that, and for the better part of 7, 8, 9 years, I really wasn't around for that period of time, and that's.
Yeah.
Well, just so you know, my daughter's birthday's May 31st. Oh, my husband tried his hardest to have a Blossom Time baby, and it is sometimes when it falls.
Did
it's
you guys
a big
time
deal.
It? Did you guys calibrate?
Big deal. Yeah, the Blossom Time's a big deal. Yeah, and not only do they do Blossom Time, the JCs. They were just out this past weekend or 2 weekends ago. I think we might be one of the only communities around that do live greens anymore. I mean, it's crazy. And speaking of that,
I think we are, Molly. I mean, you look around the live greens throughout. We've got you go through the village and you get that beautiful pine, that balsam smell, and I am not aware of, and if I'm wrong, I'd love people to let me know about it, which I'm sure they will anyway. Mm-hmm. But I also think that we're the only community that does it on a completely voluntary basis without any funding from the village or a city or municipality. It's completely privately funded.
Speaking of that, Drew, you have a GoFundMe page, I bet.
We do have a GoFundMe page, and boy, if I wish I remembered exactly what it is. But we're gonna find it.
We'll get it up on our Facebook page.
Probably if you Google Chagrin Valley JCs.
Yeah, you'll find there is a GoFundMe for the Christmas lighting, or lighting of the greens, I believe it's called. And it's a big deal. It costs us on average about $15,000 a year to light up the village. And for those of you that are listening that have never come down, boogie on down. It's a fantastic event.
We should have the city of Chagrin Falls
pay
us, or the village of Chagrin Falls pay us for all of the great things we say about it.
Well, I think that if you have enjoyed with your eyes the beauty of this village during the holiday season, then it is almost a duty of yours to, I say, adopt a light bulb.
Right.
And kick a couple funds in there so that it continues.
It's interesting you say that. I suggested an idea about 5-6 years ago, where we have about 119, I think it is, Christmas trees hung on light poles throughout the village, and my suggestion at that time was that we have an adopt a tree program, where we'll go around and have families sponsor. They buy their Christmas tree, and whatever they want to donate for the right to name that tree, but that tree on that flagpole or that post is theirs.
I like that.
And
I love that.
It's like adopt a highway.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
So it did not gain much momentum in the board at that point in time, but now that I've got control of the fundraising side of the board,
it's on.
It's amazing to see what can happen.
Hey, let me ask you a question. How do so many Christmas trees end up on the side of the waterfall over there? You notice that? Am I missing something? Does everyone
roll down or set up?
Roll down. Why do so many people? You've never noticed
I've
that?
Never noticed
it.
Get out of here!
I mean, they put trees down.
No. People throw their old Christmas trees into the.
Alex Kurtzberg.
I'm not joking.
We're gonna connect.
Do me a favor. Early January, go to the waterfall and look over.
Pick you up
down by the rocks.
I know. Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you. People throw their Christmas trees down there.
Well, it is up on our Facebook page if you want to donate. So
yeah.
So Blossom Time, and I have to ask a question that I'm dying to ask if I could.
Please.
You have a friend that's a worldwide rock star. Gosh, it's hard to say. Worldwide rock star. Say it fast. Are you able to divulge that information?
Yeah, I am. It's actually a little.
Here first? Is this
no,
like breaking? Oh.
No,
Drew
no.
turned redder than usual just
Yeah,
now.
no,
for
actually,
some
that's
reason. I don't
actually
know.
it's actually a tough subject.
Oh, nice job,
But that's
Molly.
okay.
Maybe it was
No,
Miley
no,
Cyrus.
no, and there's a lot of people that can go out and claim that they have friendships, but I had a friendship that went back to early middle school days, and then up until tragically about a little over a year ago with a gentleman named Scott Weiland, who was the front man of
Stone
band
Temple Pilots.
called Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh.
Get
And,
out of here. Yeah, he had a heroin overdose, didn't he?
heroin and cocaine, and
Oh,
he had
man.
battled demons, and you know,
You were friends with him?
yeah,
Get out of here, I didn't know that.
We were good buds, and it was interesting because as he ascended into the pantheon of rock gods, you know, I always tended to, and I always did, I treated him like the same old knucklehead buddy that, you know, we used to stab each other in the back of the neck in class in 6th grade.
Is he from here?
Yeah, he actually,
that's
his
right,
family
I
moved
knew
here when
that.
he was young, and Scott lived here through, into early high school, and then his dad was transferred out to Los Angeles. So,
Yeah, that was a bummer.
we had a lot of fun, kept in good contact. When that band was first on tour, they were all packed in a van and coming from Detroit, and I'll never forget it. He calls my apartment, tracks me down, and my roommate gets on, says, Tewks, there's some Weiland guy on the phone for you, and he says he's got a new band, and why don't you come see him? So I get on the phone, and I can't share with you unless it's rated R what he said to me. But they were coming through, and this was just as they were releasing their first album, which was the one that really sent them into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
And so from that point and on, we kept a relationship, but I kept it to the point where I was never. Yeah, there are a lot of people come out of the woodwork when you're a celebrity, and for whatever reasons, and there were a few core people. You know, a guy that'll never ever hear this podcast, but a guy named Rich Remus and myself were very, very keen upon, you know, just being humble, keeping
Was a
it real.
friend,
Was a friend, not a fan.
Dude, Stone Temple Pilots was the soundtrack of my freshman year in college.
Really?
Yeah. I can tell you right now, that CD was worn out back when people listened to CDs in my CD player. Everywhere I went, it was that was their first, what was that called? Core or something like that? Core, right? Yeah. Oh,
It was.
so good.
B-52s.
B-52s was yours?
Ooh.
What was yours, Drew?
That I wore out
Yeah.
Freshman year.
freshman year. I got to be honest, it was called Grateful Dead Reckoning. It was a all acoustic 2 CD set for the Grateful Dead. It was live,
It's good
and
stuff.
that got smoked.
Will you guys smack me if I told you I can't tell you one song that the Grateful Dead sings?
We're going to have to turn this podcast off.
All right, what was my other question that I had to
About
ask?
the people he saved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Drew saved not one life.
Not one life, two.
2 lives.
Same day, same experience.
Wow, you guys really did some research. Where did you find
Drew, this is one Facebook post. This is why
Drew,
Facebook
this
is evil.
Shush! It is our great, not only our great behind the scenes gal, and she did a lot of digging and researching for this.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Well, hold on. Let me and Molly guess how the lives were saved. I'm gonna and tell us who's closest. I'm gonna guess that
got it.
at least one person was pulled away from the edge of something. What do you think?
I'm going to say that considering his background, he was at a amusement park and there were kids having issues on a ride, and he either stopped the ride or pulled them out of something like that. All right, Drew.
I'll suggest in this battle, Alex is gonna have to be a little bit closer to the
Ooh.
winner.
Oh,
Interesting.
damn it.
You know what? It
As
was
in life.
Now I'm going to have to.
Get the wine out.
get the wine out. I was truly blessed to be in 2 situations where it was the right place at the right time for me and for somebody else. The first event was when I was in I was in high school, and I grew up around a lake in Bainbridge Township, and I was down at the lake, and there was a young boy that had fallen off a dock and was drowning.
Oh.
And so I was able to jump in and to
Wow.
to save him and pull him to shore.
Wow.
When was this?
And I was in high school.
High
I think I was about 15 or 16. And then I was back one summer from college, and the second one occurred, and I was out driving west. I was driving east towards Manaway, and near, if you guys are familiar with Auburn Inn, is back in that way. And I had noticed this car was just driving very erratically and driving slowly after they had turned onto Washington Street. And I saw something was wrong, so I stopped my car and pulled over and watched, and sure enough, after about 20 feet, they stopped the car, and the man slumped over the wheel. So I ran to the car and pulled him out, made sure the car was in park, pulled him out, and immediately began CPR on him. He had a heart attack.
Get out of here.
And within about a minute and a half, another gentleman it may have been 20 seconds, but it seemed like forever, helped me and joined in, and we revived him, and the paramedics came in.
How old a guy do you think he was?
He was in his, probably in his 60s. I mean, I was 18. The guy could have been 52 and looked 16 or 18.
And have you been in contact with any of those two?
I am in contact with the family of the young boy whom I saved. And I have chills right now thinking about it, and you just bring that up because I don't think about it that often. But every time I see him, they give me a really big hug, and they talk about it, and they do. I did not. I kind of was that good Samaritan that floated off into the vapor after I did the CPR thing.
And that is what amazing is, right there,
that is.
Alice Gertzberg.
Let me tell you something. Whenever I hear stories like that, I think of the last scene in Schindler's List. You guys ever see that movie?
I'm sad to say I didn't. I
You've
know
never
it's a
seen
great
Schindler's
movie, but I
List?
did not see it.
True. You got to see that movie. You've seen it, right, Molly? The last scene of Schindler's List, after Oscar Schindler, this isn't going to be a spoiler. You know what the movie's about, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. All right.
Spoiler alert.
Now, all right.
Spoiler
If you
alert.
don't want to know how Schindler's List ends,
Pause.
fast forward by like 30 seconds. The last thing he says, right? One of the people on the list, right? One of his dudes gives him this present. They had melted all the gold teeth from all the people that he saved, and they made a ring out of it, and they handed it to him so that when he escaped Germany, right, and fled, he would have gold. He would have something to spend, right, because he had nothing anymore. And Ben Kingsley hands this ring to Liam Neeson.
A.K.A. Dewey.
Okay, what Dewey?
Dewey
Oh, because he does
Forward?
look like Dewey. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Hands him this ring, and he says, "The Talmud says, he who saves one life saves the entire world." And I thought about that, right? I thought about that a lot. I thought about it in particular in relation to my uncle, who brought my family over here, right, from Russia. If you impact one person's life, much less save their life, right? That kid right there, right? So this was when you were in high school. So today he's probably somebody's dad.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe the dad of several kids, right? And he probably has siblings and parents, obviously, all of whom have been impacted by the last 20 years of life that otherwise would not have happened, right? And so there is this butterfly effect that you create every time you impact somebody's life positively, much less saving them. Obviously, you literally create life.
You know,
right?
there's a holiday show that's
Yeah.
very similar to that concept, you know.
What's that?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm Jewish. I'm not allowed to watch that show.
Oh, seriously? You've never seen
No,
It's a
Not because
Wonderful
I'm
Life?
Jewish, but just because I've never watched it. I've never been able to get through the first like 20 minutes.
Oh,
Of it.
it
If
is
Christmas
And it
Well,
doesn't
meant more to
start
me-
until 25 minutes in.
I know.
It's the most powerful. It's exactly
makes
what
me
you're.
cry.
It's
But
exactly
you know,
what
you
you're
talk
saying.
about that, and you talk about that, and it's such a powerful message because, you know, if we have so many opportunities as we go through life,
Yeah.
and some like those situations, you don't have a choice that you're not. I mean, you have I had a choice.
Yeah.
But I didn't. The circumstances brought me to that occasion.
Right.
And because circumstances brought me to that occasion, I responded in a certain way, and because I had to training and so forth. But I think we also have times where we go through life, and if we have the ability to have our eyes wide open, you start to see more and more where you can affect those positive things with people, and that's kind of, I hate to go back 35, 40 minutes, but when you talk about character, that's part of character.
Well, and what always amazes me about that, see, here's the problem. Here's why humans suck, right? Because we have very short-term memories. Because what I wish I could remember all the time is that you can impact somebody's day and week and year and life by just being nice to them.
But I think you're very good at that.
Yeah, but I think that I could be better at it if I remembered, right? Like, if I remembered that the person that I'm dealing with may just be having a bad day, right? And doesn't necessarily deserve whatever, just kind of, insolence is not the right word, but dismissiveness that I would have. Like, if someone's just being a jerk to me, right? I pretend like they're dead to me, right?
See,
like,
but that's exactly the time that you turn on that.
I know,
that kindness.
but that's what I'm saying. I don't remember enough that my being nice to them will impact their day, right? And that just because they're being a jerk doesn't necessarily represent who they are.
Well, let's go get tattoos that will remind us to be that person.
Can they be
every
neck
day.
tattoos?
Be what?
Neck tattoos?
Yours?
I don't know.
I think it's going to be a little hard to see it on your neck to remind you that, but okay.
Man,
Yeah,
I have
it's
to.
powerful.
That's
I mean,
a tough thing, though. How you try and remind yourself. I mean, you have to look to live that way.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it takes a remarkably special person that can live every day with that in their forefront, because we are human. There are days that no matter how hard you strive to be good.
Yeah.
Is that the right use of that? I always get messed up. Be good, do well, right?
Both. Yes.
Okay.
Both are true. Both are accurate.
But when you try to be good and you try to do that, there are times that sadly that you are human and you allow those imperfections to come out without applying objectivity to the conversation. And I believe in my heart and soul that I'm a good person, and I try so hard to do right.
Yeah.
But there are times where something will happen, and I can, as recently as last Thursday, I got engaged in a conversation that I came out of the conversation thinking I could have handled that differently.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question: have you guys ever sat down and written out a code of conduct for yourself, and like limited it to like 3 rules? Have you ever done that?
No.
I haven't.
I've been thinking about doing that as an experiment, right? Because human beings being fallible, memory-wise, I feel like if I do a lot of reading, and I can't possibly remember.
And I do not.
Most of the things I read. Well, don't beat yourself up, Molly.
If you would have listened to any of the podcasts, that's pretty much always.
I think that what I might do is make like a list of like 5 rules that I'm going to follow every single day, no matter what. And one of them, I think, is going to be nice to people, regardless of how much of a jerk they are.
I think you'll find if you do that, it's amazing what will happen. I mean, I talk about, I teach in some of my classes on amusement ride safety, and one of the things that we talk about, I don't mean to go back to it, but I think it's an example, is I talk about how critical it is that, a little more, Senor?
Please. Do you want more ice?
Please, one.
All right, I'm going to have to go then and pick it up, but I will. Keep talking.
Okay. So what I talk about is when there's accidents that happen in amusement parks or amusement rides, carnivals, it can be family entertainment, what have you. Quite often the staff that's there, they're trained in what to do, meaning they don't really have to tell their supervisor this and that, but they don't go through and they don't practice accidents. And you think about when we're kids, we practiced fire drills, right? Mm-hmm. We're you grew up in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. We practiced tornado drills. We practiced. Mm-hmm. So we knew that it was something to do, and you knew how to react because you did it. I mean, I'm that jerk of a father that, and my kids will tell you this, that You know, I press the fire alarm at 3:12 in the morning to see if they remember where to go.
Jeez.
But the point of the thing is one of the things I teach people is that how you react and how you, more importantly, there's a difference. You either react or you respond. And I think it's critical to always think that through. Respond means that you're thinking it through. React is meaning that it's an absolute visceral, it just comes out. It's just that. So I teach people to respond to a situation, and when you have an amusement ride accident or something like that, say your daughter gets injured on a ride, and you come, you've got the ride attendant, and they're freaking out, they're going crazy, the crowd's all upset, there's blood everywhere, and this kid's, that's the ride attendant or young man or young woman's never been through this before. They have no idea how to handle it. Well, there's complete, utter chaos going on. And all of a sudden, out of the woodwork comes mom screaming because her little kid's injured, she's freaking out. And if this poor kid that's attending it, this young man, has never practiced it, they're not going to do. And one of the key things to practice is how you handle that person, how you calm that individual down by being kind. Not by freaking out, but being kind by, you know what, man, most important thing we can do right now is let's make sure your daughter's okay. Mm-hmm. Let's get her the attention we need in a calm, soothing voice. We'll figure out what went on here. Mm-hmm. We've got a great team of professionals that'll get to this. But in the meantime, you and I are completely focused in on the best thing here, which is getting your daughter taken care of. Mm-hmm. And if you focus in on calming and taking control and knowing and being kind to that person in that situation, boy, does it help to not only diffuse what could be a crazy situation, but then apply that into life. And how many times you get into situations. I mean, I travel. I spend 6 months in airports, and if it's not once a week, it's twice a week in a different airport. I see some jerk.
You can say jerk off.
I can say jerk off.
Jerk off's not really a swear
some
word.
Some jackass. I can say jackass. They say that on TV.
Jerk off's not a swear word.
No.
Yeah.
No,
all right.
but he could say jackass too.
Okay.
I don't know what gets past the Molly censors these days.
I understand.
You know?
Well, there's the Molly ride test, and then there's the Molly censor test.
I think we passed it.
I think we passed it a while back.
Hey, I heard this story the other day on this other podcast. Tara Brock does a great podcast. Have you ever heard of her?
No, I've not.
Oh my God, she's amazing. She does it like mindfulness and meditations and stuff. And she tells this story of how one of her patients. She's also a psychotherapist. One of her, actually, I was meaning to tell you this story the next time I saw you, Molly, so I'm going to tell you now, and all the kids at home. One of her patients is an Army colonel who has anger issues, right? And he was in line and was late for a whole bunch of places that he had to be, and was in line at the cash register at like a Target, right? And there's a woman who had like 3 things right there and in front of him, and she was an older lady but had a baby with her. Gets up to the cash register and gets into this conversation with the cashier, who is just now doting on this baby and is just playing with her and takes the baby over the counter and takes like all day to talk, and this guy's blood is boiling. And all he wants to do is get out of there. And so just as he's about to just tell all of them off, right, he like steps back, closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, right, counts to 20. And then when he opens his eyes, he's a lot more calm. And when it's his turn, it's now like 10 minutes later, and he's late for everything he's got to go to. When he gets up there, the lady behind the cash register says, "I'm really sorry that took so long. My husband's in Afghanistan, and that's his mother, and this is the only time I get to see my daughter during the day. And she brings her here, and for 5 minutes I get to play with her."
Wow.
And he just melted, right? And
you never know.
it's that 20-second, she calls it the sacred pause. I practice the sacred pause, not nearly enough, but a lot more than I used to. And to your point, Drew, I mean, if you can find that place where you can be nice to everybody, right, and calm yourself down, it just works miracles.
And it doesn't mean being weak.
No.
Being kind and being good isn't an area of weakness. I
Actually
think it's an area of strength.
Yeah,
to do
it
that.
takes more strength
It does,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I think it's a strong trait. And if you can find a way to practice that and do it, boy, you're ahead of so many more people.
Mhm.
All right, Drew.
Here comes the time.
Rapid fire questions.
We need like the
Yes,
the
no,
music.
I don't recall.
No, but
Right.
we need a music when we get to this point of the.
We do.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, by the way, I just got nailed by fish. I have instructional training videos on my website,
Yeah.
and I just got nailed by fish for using
They're
like
getting-
30 seconds of tweezer reprise
They're getting.
looped in there.
Facebook is
Really?
getting. I just
It was
got.
YouTube that did it.
Oh.
YouTube that did
Because
it.
there's some really funny exercise videos using fish.
So I gotta go.
moved together.
Now I have to find some benign, bland music instead of tweezer reprise.
I took
it's
a
terrible.
video of Olivia Newton-John's "Please, Mr. Please," which is one of my jams. Literally, my phone facing my XM. Yep. Facing my XM radio, and posted that, and they told me I had to take it down.
Nazis.
Wow.
Rapid fire.
All right,
Yes.
Drew. Biggest success.
My children.
Molly, will we accept that?
Absolutely.
Wow.
It's his success.
I know. I'm just saying. All right.
Of course it will.
You have to understand that's a really great answer because, in spite of myself and my
Are you
imperfections,
sure they're yours even? I mean,
Right?
When you find their dad, you should be his
I
ass.
should. In spite of my imperfections, my wife and I have raised two absolutely remarkable children, and that I could not be more proud of. And they are great citizens. They are great students. They are great human beings. They are just everything that I could ever ask for.
You know why?
That's
Why?
it.
My question comes.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wait, I got to tell you a funny story. And it's actually not funny, but Drew told me this. I came to Drew one time for a piece of family advice. I've been fighting with my wife a lot at the time for whatever reason. And Drew said, you know what I do at home when people scream at me? I talk quieter.
Mm-hmm.
And the louder they get, the quieter I get.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing that.
That's a great.
I started
yeah.
doing it. It's such a great piece of advice. Now, it does require a degree of equanimity and peace. And,
Well, put that on top of your 30 seconds of silence. You're golden.
yeah, but that's a great
Yeah.
trick. Trick. It's a
Just
great
tool.
skill.
Yeah, it's a tool.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love it.
Thank you.
All right, well, that goes to how they're such a big success for you, too. Because that
I got
translates.
to meet them because Drew won the Distinguishing JC Award.
I did, Lifetime Achievement Award.
Last year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Is that?
Yes.
Crazy. My daughter,
And you did it via Skype.
I did it by Skype. I was down doing an amusement gig down in Florida, and I love my oldest daughter, Emily, who when she went up to accept the prize, she just said one simple statement: "It's about time." That's all she said, and that
So
takes.
out of the mouth of faith.
Oh, and that's the confidence that young lady
Uh-huh.
has. And
Love
it's great.
Well, Drew, what's your biggest failure? Maybe these questions aren't fair. Maybe it should just be like, what's a big success?
I
What's
don't
a
know
big
why you
failure?
got two.
No, I can answer that.
What is it?
My biggest failure is not being as good a friend to some people
Mm.
in my life that I should have been at the time they needed me.
Why do you think you weren't?
I think there was a period in time that I was very, very much self-centered and very focused in on Drew and didn't have that keen awareness that we talked about a little while back, and I regret very deeply that I have some people that were friends and very good friends that I let down, and that to me is a very painful thing.
Values change, right? We're all totally different people, you know. Things that are important to you today used to be not important to you. As you get older, you get more conservative, and you start to hold on much more to
Except you.
friendship. I get more liberal, but I don't mean politically. I'm talking
Oh, I
about
see.
just in your values, right? You start to hold on to memories and relationships more than you when you were younger.
Absolutely.
Don't beat yourself up, Drew.
No, just being
I'm sure
honest.
he learns.
No, you were answering the question. What do you have limiting beliefs, and if so, how do you overcome them?
I can't dunk a basketball, and there's no way I can overcome it without a trampoline.
That's not a limiting belief.
Which you will not insure, so you're screwed either way.
Do I have limiting beliefs in how I overcome them? I do.
Can you give an example of a limiting belief besides the basketball one?
No. Trying something new and when you put yourself out there. I reinvented myself, if you will, 15 months ago, and to the extent that I left an 18-year business relationship to start up a new one under a bunch of different circumstances that we need not go into. And at that point in time, I was absolutely terrified. And I was terrified that I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the heart, I didn't have whatever was necessary to be successful in doing that. And I remember back to I'll call this gentleman an acquaintance of mine, because I consider friends very, very, if you're blessed in life, you have 3 or 4 friends.
Right.
But I call this gentleman an acquaintance, a guy named John DeJulius. And
he's got the salon.
He owns John Roberts.
Spot.
He's also a world-renowned speaker on customer service excellence and so forth.
Is he local?
He is local, and he is one hell of a guy.
I didn't know you do that.
I need a speaker.
Yeah, I know a lot about that too.
He is one hell of an individual. And he told me once, he said, Drew, believe in the beliefs, trust in the belief that others have in you until your belief kicks in.
Say that again.
Trust in the belief that others have in you until your belief kicks in. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm having limiting beliefs and I'm questioning things, and like that period of time, I drew upon that because I had a core people of advisors. Alex, you included, were amongst those individuals that were be able to objectively look at that situation and advise me. And everybody unilaterally said, Drew, you built it again.
Yeah.
And people, you build it and people will come. It was like Field of Dreams, and thinking of listening to what people say, and then believing that if that many people believe in you, then you may not trust them until you can get that belief, and that helps me get through.
That's good. That's good advice.
Situations.
I like that.
Did I ask you before if you had limiting beliefs, Molly?
I think I answered that I don't, because I pretty much just jump into anything without thinking.
See, I don't believe that. And you know what? Jeff Hoffman said the same thing.
We did talk about that because I don't fly, and I.
Oh, that's right. You think like it'll be horrible if you fly. Like you think that.
Well, we're not going to go there. Yeah,
that's right.
I have a fear of flying.
See,
yes.
So Jeff Hoffman was our guest 2 guests ago, and he said he didn't have any. Next time I see him.
He's the Priceline.com founder.
Yeah. He said he didn't have any limiting beliefs, but I'm going to press him on that.
See,
I think everybody has limiting beliefs, right? Because I think that it is one of the things that propels you, right? I think that one of the things that makes people successful is something in their wiring, in their DNA, that says there's a ceiling here that I've always experienced, that I've always known, and I'm going to break through that ceiling.
Totally disagree.
You do?
I mean, I think that there's that, and then there's people who just continue to do and don't get limited by I see every job and be like, I could totally do that. I'm going to go do that. I mean, and it's not in a braggery type of way.
I'm as confident as anybody you'll ever meet, and almost, I'm sure that there are some people suggest that I'm cocky and arrogant, but I am.
That's not in the research.
I will beat the crap out of those people right now.
But that confidence in so looking at those things, I have enough humility to understand what I can and I can't do, and it doesn't mean that I can't do it at some point in time in the future. But at that moment in time, I can't do it. If you ask me to go swim a mile right now, no matter how much belief I have, I can't do it. I can swim 50 yards and then I will sink like a stone.
Right, well, I think there's factual and
I
then
look
there's
at those things, those
limited,
challenges.
No?
Well, I look at challenges and I look at based upon the set of information that I have at the time, and determining, okay, what is the risk, what is the reward, what information do I have at the time to make that decision, and then seek counsel from others. And if the ultimate path is something that is plausible, and it may be difficult and it may be uncomfortable, but it's plausible, then I can do that. But if you sat here today, and even with all the coaching I got around a table with brilliant people like you, there's no way I'm going to swim a mile.
He's pointing to Alex, just so I can see.
I think you can't help but have some.
Yeah.
See, I'm the opposite. I just go and swim it, and I'll be halfway, hoping that I make it the rest
Well,
of the
what
way.
I was going to say when you said
If I don't, I'll die.
when you said the swimming analogy, I think that if I dared you to swim, however, 50 miles, right? What you would respond with was, "I will find a way. It won't be today, but I will find a way."
Yeah, I would.
Right? And if at the end of that 50 miles, Trey Anastasio and Mike Gordon were going to do a private concert just for you, right? Which they're going to when I go to Mexico on January 12th through the 17th. You'd be like, I'm there. I just got to work out.
Yeah, you can find a way.
Yeah. All right, Drew. This is the part of the program when Molly asks her favorite question.
Yes.
Molly, would you like to ask it?
So could you share with me is there a woman figure in your life that's very influential? Doesn't have to be your mother, but just some sort of woman that was influential in your life.
It doesn't have to be your mother, but Molly really wants it to be your mother.
No, that is not true. I am 4 for whatever so far.
Well,
Can I tell you what Drew's thinking right now? If I don't
he
say
wants
my
me
wife,
to be wrong. He's like, I want to be that one that proves Molly wrong.
No,
That's what he's
no.
saying.
he's
No,
thinking if
no,
it's not
no,
my
I
wife,
won't-
how mad is she
no.
going to be when I get home?
No, I don't even want it to be your
it
wife.
wouldn't, because my wife Cheryl knows how much I love and respect her and admire her.
One of the
So-
greatest ladies ever, by the way. Classiest lady almost ever.
Yeah, I totally outkicked the coverage on that one. Completely.
She's awesome. Cheryl's awesome. Yeah, please.
I'm going to suggest that I have the influence of two women in my life that have helped. And if I get choked up, damn you guys.
Oh, man.
That I will tell you that have absolutely influenced me.
We got tissues.
My first is my late grandmother, who was my father's mother, and Nancy Hunkin was a woman that was the definition of elegance, and she grew up in high society in Cleveland, and my father's family was that way, and yet she had this constant level of grace and constant level of compassion, and was positive and was good, and she was the rock that I clung to until she passed away in 1991. And I learned from that. I learned a lot of great things. I learned that grace. I learned that humility, and I learned how to handle yourself in situations, and what people, be yourself even when people expect you to be differently, but just be true. And then I will then go to my mom, because my mom was an extraordinarily successful realtor in the Chagrin Valley. My mom she was vice president of getting shit done. Excuse me, that's not.
No, it's permitted.
That's allowed.
We'll allow it.
For Smythe Kramer Company for 25, 30 years, and she achieved unbelievable things. She worked hard. She held herself to the highest ethical standards possible, and worked tirelessly for her clients. And Alex, you had said something early about how I treat my clients, and I treat my clients with that level of respect and that level of professionalism because my mom taught me to.
Nice.
And that is a truly, truly powerful thing that she did, and I'll never ever be able to provide her enough thank you for that.
That was so powerful. Molly spilled wine all over herself while listening to the story.
Grace has to be my ultimate favorite word. ever. That is, I think, one of the most powerful, soft words that could be.
That's a
everywhere.
Is that a religious connotation, that word grace? Like I usually hear
it is used in faith, but I don't.
Generally, it's like when something is like perfect in a godlike, touching your life kind of way, right?
But I think that can be, you can take it that way, Alex. I look at grace in the ability to be calm, confident, respectful, and
graceful. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
And humble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if you look at somebody that handled things with grace, they handled a situation where there was that you could come out of it was a very respectful situation.
And thankful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, we've gone 66 minutes and 28 seconds.
Which is beyond the sweet spot.
We've broken the world record for this podcast.
Yeah, we just didn't want it to end.
All right.
I could go on for another hour.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a very good podcast. What do you guys think?
Great. Awesome.
Good
I
stuff.
appreciate you got some stuff out of me that people don't get out of me. And how you.
Ooh.
So no.
Even better.
Good stuff.
You guys are good folk.
Thank you.
Even better. Thank you for coming.
Do we have anything we want to put out there? Drew, are you working on any projects that you want to announce?
I'm gonna one project, and this is, if anything, I am working on a project, but I'm working on a project to bring Dead and Company to Telluride, Colorado, for the 30th anniversary of the Grateful Dead played in Telluride as a band 30 years ago. This coming summer, so I'm working with a group of investors to put together a 2-night event where the first night Pearl Jam will be playing, and then the second night Dead and Company will be playing. So working on that project that's completely has nothing to do with insurance. And the other thing is I'm trying every angle I can to get my hot sauce into Michael Simon's restaurants. So if anybody knows Michael Simon, I have great hot sauce, and I'm trying to get.
Have you started with his chef who lives in Chagrin?
I have not. I have two.
I have his email. I will forward it.
Will you? I have 3 servers at Mabel's Barbecue that loved my hot sauce, and they said we're going to give it. So
I've had your hot sauce. It is the bomb hit. It's really good.
Yeah.
And it has a nice, and you gave me a nice personalized label, right? And it has like a tie-dye thing on it.
Yep.
It's good hot sauce.
Those are the only projects. I think the only last project is finding a way to
Go to Mexico for fish.
go to Mexico for fish in January when I'm supposed to be inspecting amusement rides.
Right. I'll let you know how that goes.
Well, I want to
Molly?
congratulate you and us on the podcast for we're booked until March.
Yeah.
Nice.
Drew.
Yeah.
Every Monday until March.
With some star-studded guests.
Star-studded.
I mean, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but here's what I'll say. If you listen to this podcast, you are going to be instantly smarter, instantly happier, and $1 billion richer. I'm not making any promises, but that's how good our guest lineup is.
Yes.
It's that awesome.
It is.
Wonderful.
Yes.
We are still looking for judges and sponsors for the essay contest.
Yes.
So you want to send an email to essay@gertzberglaw.com. And let our friend Julianne know that you want to either judge, which means you're going to read a couple essays of high school students, or even better, that you want to sponsor and provide prize money, which will get you a credit with the Gertzberg Law Firm in legal services. Who doesn't need a good lawyer, Molly?
You will be
who doesn't need a good lawyer?
Needs a good
A
lawyer.
Trusted advisor, a confidant,
but
a consigliere.
You're amongst many, just today alone, Congressman Joyce he will be a judge. The chief of Orange Police, Chief
Chris
Costora, he will be a judge. We have the treasurer's office will be judges.
Yeah. These kids are so lucky.
Chris?
Yeah, we've got a lot of great people who put their hat in the ring. The Cleveland Clinic is doing a team to judge.
Awesome.
So we have a lot of great judges.
This thing's huge. It's going to be. Drew, did you hear that it's now doubled in size? This essay contest.
4 schools.
4 schools this year, Drew.
Outstanding. Well,
Yes.
I will. I'll have to put my name officially, but I'll judge again. I
You
was
heard
happy
it
to do
here, everybody.
Yeah.
Drew is an
Tell your-
official
But I'm
judge.
getting way more critical on grammar than I was last year.
I was really sorry Molly didn't win last year. Or Emily did not win last
You know what?
year.
That's okay. When I did, and if she ever listens to this, I told her this, and it almost injured my relationship with my daughter.
Uh-oh.
My daughter graduated top 10 of her class at Kenston. You know, just crushed everything she ever did, and she's crushing it at the Ohio State University right now. But when I read her essay, and I compared it to the top essays that I read, I'm like, there was no,
don't say it. Don't say
there
it.
were some people that wrote things that it was exceptional.
Listen,
And my daughter's wicked smart.
She's
She's going to
wicked
save
smart.
lives as a
Emily,
doctor.
I read yours and I thought yours was exceptional. Just so you
if
know.
I didn't run the law firm that was co-sponsoring this thing, I would have just made you win automatically.
There you go.
All right.
Well, thanks, Drew.
Welcome.
That was awesome.
Thank you, Alex.
Peace out, guys.
Thanks, dudes.
Yes, go be
All right.
amazing.